Well, good evening, folks. It's the real Captain Kirk here. It's the 27th of May, 2023 here, Saturday. We're live from One Bethlehem Plaza here in downtown Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Again, Memorial Day is all about remembering and honoring those that paid the ultimate sacrifice for the things that we get to do this weekend, so the freedoms that we enjoy. So God bless everyone that, again, keeps us safe. We'll start here with season day tornadoes here again, about 767. Only had about 12 this past week, so slowed a bit with a drier pattern. Still 12% above average, 2% more than a year ago, most in 4 years. So still an above average season. We think this will pick up steam again probably mid-June and July, but a couple more dry weeks here. If we look at we thought we'd recap May here. Retail May ends here on the 27th. So the way the big retailers and our clients would look at the weather here. So this is the world scene. These maps are trends versus last year. So here in the U.S., East Coast, South, again, quite a bit cooler than last year. Hot spot would be the Pacific Northwest. Western two-thirds of Canada, and again, cool there in Europe. So not overly fantastic trends here, again, for the seasonal sales that we'd like to buy. If we zoom in here to the U.S., here in the U.S., we were about 0.9 cooler than last year, still 16th warmest in 38 years, above average, but not so in the East. Again, had a cooler conditions here in the East, so soft for the things that we typically would buy with hot weather, like air conditioners. Pacific Northwest was certainly the hot spot, so maybe sales were up there, but again, not usually a big area for a lot of retailers. 26% drier than last year, driest in 16 years, 8th driest in 38 years, so below average precip on a national scale. Very dry in the central U.S. This should change here as we get into mid-late June into July. Probably going to see a wetter cycle developing as we get into a more El Nino-like event. Now, if we look at the last week summary here, again, week ending here, the 27th of May, just for the week. Here in the U.S., 0.6 warmer than last year, 12th coolest in 38 years, below average. 70% drier than last year, making the number one driest in 38 years. So a very dry week for the U.S. here to end the retail May. Pretty warm up there in Canada, warmest in 3 years. UK warmest in 3. UK warmest in 5. Cool spots would be there in China, cools in 4. And Australia, very cool, coolest in 22 years as they're in their fall season. Map since it left are the trends versus average. If we look at the year-over-year trends here now for April, May, and June here. So not that great. We had a very strong Easter week, right after Easter week, very strong period for retail seasonal sales. Then it kind of softened off. We've had a few days that are more favorable. These bars show the year-on-year trends versus a year ago for temperatures on the left and precip on the right. So Mother's Day, yeah, now okay. It was good in the East. Memorial Day, it's cooler than last year. So again, a little bit soft, picking up steam here as we go into next weekend. Father's Day looks to be in a cooler week prior, and July 4th, kind of a cooler period. So soft trends for, those really hot categories like air conditioners, even bottled water. You'll tend to drink not as much. You'll drink, obviously, but again, cooler trends, you just won't consume as much as you would in extremely hot weather. We look at this week here, week ending 3 June here, the week of Memorial Day. Here in the U.S., we're about half a degree warmer than last year, warmest in 3, 10th warmest in 38, so above average there. Still cool in the cool spots here in the mid-Atlantic, southeast, across the south. Precip still dry, 48% drier than last year, driest in 12, second driest in 38 years, so very, very dry across the U.S. Some thunderstorm activity. Actually, the wet spots are out there in the very extreme drought areas. Oklahoma, West Texas, West Kansas, they need it. Extreme drought is still continuing there, so they've had a lot of rain here as of late. So southwest monsoon kicking in early and a little bit east. Again, areas that do need some rain. Looking at next week here, week 4 through 10 June here, starting these cooler trends again, 1.5 cooler than last year, coolest in 4 years, 11th coolest in 38 years, so below average national temperatures, particularly cool in the east and parts of the southwest. Rainfall still on the dry side, 51% drier than last year, driest in 35 years, second driest in 38 years. This pattern should begin to shift as we get into mid-June, latter half of June into July, with a wetter pattern beginning to develop as this El Nino takes shape. And if we just aggregate these 2-week trends here through the 10th of June here, you can see pretty much good conditions there in Canada. So their seasonal sales will be up across the northern tier of the U.S., pretty good. A little cooler across the south. Parts of Central Europe look pretty good, Germany, France, and Australia seeing a little bit of a warm as well. So, folks, we hope you're having a great Memorial Day weekend. We'll show you a top secret spot where we've been here part of this weekend. And again, no matter where you are, hope you're having a great weekend, and we will talk to you hopefully this time next week. We're going to be on vacation mode, but we'll get some videos in here for the latter part of next week. Have a great week, folks.